So this stitch is made famous, or was made famous, by its extensive use throughout the Bayeux Tapestry. So you can see one of the protagonists here. So this is Guido, or Guy as we know him, from the tapestry, and his arm, his sleeve here, the bottom of his tunic and his shoes are all worked in this stitch. Now it wasn't called Bayeux stitch in the time the tapestry was made. It's been called that since, because that's the stitch, that's the piece of work that we know the stitch from. So I'm going to show you how to do this stitch, and I'm going to show you on this project here. So this is my Lincoln Castle kit, and I'm going to show you how to work that on the tower here. So here's a little bit already worked. I've worked it in two colours so you can see the two stages of the stitch, but normally you would do it in the same colour. So we're going to lay the threads down first. We're going to lay these horizontal green threads down first, and then we put another stitch over the top. So it's actually a form of laid work, type of embroidery called laid work. So we're going to lay the stitches down, and then we put these ones over the top to hold them in place. I'm going to do it all in the same colour so you can see what it actually looks like, but you can just refer to this one to see the two different stages. So let's start with my knot out of the way. Now I'm going to fill this in, so I'm actually just going to put my starting stitches right in the middle of here, because I know I'm going to cover this. Now you might see this stitch done traditionally, and they would put the outline in first. So they would come down here with an outline and down here, and then work between them. I've actually tried this method, and I find it hard to get the stitches underneath, and I think they would have done this to give a nice neat edge to start with. So I'm going to show you the way I do it, and you can try both and see which one you like. So I'm not going to put the outline in first, I'm going to put the stitches in first. I'll show you why I do that when we come to the last stage. So I'm going to come up on the line, and I'm going to go right the way across that whole shape, one great big long stitch across there. Now I'm following the grain, I want my stitches nice and straight, so I'm going to make sure that's straight and following the grain of the fabric, and I'm just going to take my needle straight down the other side. So these are our laid stitches. Now we don't go back to this side and go over again, because that's a satin stitch and you'll get a long thread on the back as well, and it makes it very chunky, and you use a lot of thread and it can break. So we're going to come up on the same side that we went down on, right next to that previous one, and go back and forth like that. Now don't pull these too tight, because it can suck the fabric in and distort your fabric. So down on the initial side, and then we're going to come back up underneath that stitch there and lay our stitches in position. So I'm just going back and forth with that. And if you've got a stitch down the side here to mark the edge, you've got to get this needle from underneath it and not go through it, and I find that a bit awkward, but you do have to be a little bit neater with this initial stage. So as I said, try both ways and see which one you prefer. So just back and forth, putting in my laid stitches, don't pull them too tight. And so much of the tapestry was worked in this stitch. It's very quick. The stitch fills in very quickly. And the tapestry is nearly 70 metres long, so you can see why they might want a quicker stitch to fill all of that in. Just going to take it down one more. There we go. So I'm just going to fill in to there. Now I'm going to use the same colour to put my holding stitches down over the top. So if you got a symmetrical design like I have, you might want to start in the middle just to make sure you get your symmetry. So I'm just going to come up at the top here. There's my middle roughly. I'm not going to measure it, I'm just going to do it by eye. So I'm going to come up at the top like so, and we lay that stitch over the top and down the other side. Now it's careful at this stage not to move those stitches. If I come too close, I push my stitches in and it changes shape. So just over the top and down the other side like so, and then while you're there, couch this down. Don't put them all in and then couch them down, because everything tends to move, so couch them down as you go. So when I say couch, we're going to work a stitch over the top of that to hold it in place, and that's called a couching stitch. So I'm going to come up right in the middle, up vertically and down vertically on either side of that stitch that I've held. So you can see the little stitches here. So up and down, pull it tight. And then I'm going to work either side of that, so I'm going to get another 2 in, one there and one there, I think. So let's go back to the top and go the same way. So vertically up, so you don't move the stitches underneath. Over the top, down the other side. And you might see there, when I'm going down through the thread, I'm laying the thread in position, and I'm taking my needle actually back through the middle of the thread, so that makes sure it's exactly where I want it. If I pull that slowly, you can see that just comes through there. Now, the thing that's important about bow stitch, and if you're doing a lot of it especially, the little holding stitch I'm going to put in now should make a brick pattern with your stitches. So don't do another one in the middle, as I've done previously. I'm going to do one up here, like so, straight up and straight back down. And then I'm going to do one down here, so you can sort of see that brick formation start to happen. I find it easier if you actually split the thread as well. That one went between, you can see it just parts the threads a little bit. So it's a bit neater if you actually take your needle through the thread underneath. So then let's put a third one in. So make sure these are nice and evenly spaced. You want them the same distance apart. Now we're going to do that bricking pattern, so I'm going to go back to my original one, and that stitch goes in the middle. You can see that bricking pattern start to happen. I don't need to put one at the end because my outline will go around that. So now I'm going to come to the other side. Do that one there. This one has the 2 stitches in. Keep that brick pattern going. Straight up, straight down. Try not to move anything. If you get it in the right place to start with, then you don't want to move it all. I'm just going to finish that thread off because it's getting a bit short. Start this thread on the edge now. And then put my last stitch over the top. So it doesn't matter how wide this area is, it could go all the way the whole length of the tower. Your stitch over the top would start at the top and come all the way down to the bottom. So you just cover the whole section. It's the small stitches that then go over the top that hold everything in place. So if you're looking at it thinking, this is a really long stitch, I'm not sure about this, it's fine, because it's these little stitches now that holds the whole thing in place. So there's the last one, so that one goes in the middle. So that is my Bayeux stitch, and what I tend to do now is put an outline around it, just to neaten up this edge. And you might see this, they do this outline first, but now we've got our, our nice edge from our laid stitches, we can go over the top and just neaten it up. I find if you work that stitch first, you've then got to get your needle underneath it, and I find that a little bit trickier. So, like I say, try both ways and see which you like the best. I'm just going to put a stem stitch along the edge to neaten that up. Jump to this side and put one in that side as well. I've got a video on stem stitch if you want to see that. You could also put a back stitch around it on a split stitch, something to finish off that edge nice and neatly. There we go. So that's just a short piece of it, but it's the same principle whatever size piece you want to do. So that's straight Bayeux stitch.